Stop right there. Yeah, you. If you like all things entertainment, current events, or Hollywood, then look no further. Creator to Creators, hosted by director Meosha Bean of Horror Noir, interviews filmmakers and creatives from around the world. Join in on the fun, guest celebrities, and informative information to have as a creator. Hit subscribe and stay connected to Creator to Creators.
Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of Creators to Creators Today. Today, we have a special guest.
Nace DeSanders.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here.
Oh, man, my pleasure. Thank you for coming on and, taking your time with us today. I always love going to the beginning. I always say that the beginning kind of charts, our trajectory, where are we going to be kind of going in life? Like the things, our little habits that we pick up, the little small things that we get involved in, and we, seem very small, but then it shows back up in our later years. Tell me a little bit about your childhood. And like, what was that like? And kind of how did you find your way into, the love of film and this entertainment business?
Sure. So I grew up in upstate New York, and we have a saying that the further north you go in New York is like going very far south, right? So the further north you, I mean, like, I think people think of New York as like a very liberal place, but the further up north you go, the more conservative it becomes. And as a little black girl, as a little weird black girl, that was not ideal. So school was not super fun for me, like education wise, in terms of grades, it was fine. But getting along with other kids got like in the beginning it was easy, like elementary school before like people's like their parents' ideals were kind of getting in their head. So elementary school was pretty easy. And then from like middle school on is when like society and racism and sexism and all that stuff starts kind of boiling in, right? So
Right.
from there, it started getting a little weird. But I don't want to make it a sob story now then.
No, it's okay.
But it's still, it builds character, I guess. I mean, I would never put my future kids through it, but it's still it built my character. Let's say that.
Yeah.
Um, but then at home, both my parents were really into film
Oh, wow.
as just like creative individuals themselves. My mom's a dancer, and my dad's an electrician, but he's always just been really, really about the arts.
I love that.
So my dad was the one introducing me to horror films far too scary that I should not have been seeing at that time. Gave me nightmares, terrifying. But I am a horror director today, so it worked
Yeah.
out. My mom would show me like just like oldies, like films from like the 40s and 50s and 60s and European films, because my mother's from the Netherlands. So she grew
Nice.
up in like French cinema and stuff like that. So she would introduce me to that. And I think those two things together have for sure shaped the kinds of films I watch today, but also the kind of stuff I make today. So they boiled together perfectly.
No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's really, really cool. I mean, so I'm curious, was there like was it something that, because horror is that's a genre that not many black girls seem to, at least growing up, I didn't see that many that liked it. I wasn't around. That wasn't really talked about. I felt very like out of place. And then when I, finally got to, venture out to meet other, black creatives, especially women that are into it, I was like, wow, there are a lot of us that are into this thing, So it was
Yeah.
really nice to see that. But curious, why that genre, horror, and like what drew you to that as a director?
Well, I that's a good question. I'm not totally sure. I've been just here. You're right though. Like we do, I think from a young age we get dissuaded from it that this isn't really a space for us,
Yeah.
especially stuff I do is like experimental horror. So I've been told before by people of color that like that's quote unquote white people shit. I don't know. Am I allowed to curse on this?
Yeah,
Sorry.
you're good. You're good.
Okay. No, yeah, that's white people shit. That's not for us. But like I'm not gonna stop doing it. Like that's not right and not fair. All
Right.
types of art are for all of us to
Hmm.
enjoy.
Hmm.
And I think because it's a space that we are not, I don't want to say we're not welcome, but we're not welcome. When I do meet other women in horror, especially women of color in horror, it's in like immediate friendship. It's immediate like, oh my God,
Yeah.
yes, another one. Like
Right.
especially now, I feel like we're in this beautiful horror renaissance where like we have the quote unquote elevated horror and all these like new different ways to explore the horror genre that are coming out and becoming more mainstream. that it just makes sense that more people who look different are also getting into horror and wanting to put their own personal spin on it.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful and it's beautiful. And we get just really, really cool stuff from that.
Yeah.
And to say, oh, that's only for white people is crazy. And I feel bad for those people because they're missing out. I'm enjoying myself.
Right. Exactly. You're exploring it, and it's, and I don't want to like sound like be a Debbie Downer, but I think it's really great to hear the term, the first or the first. It's interesting, but sometimes it's like but on the other hand, I kind of hate that it's the first, it's like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like,
I would have liked to hear the first 30, 40 years ago.
yeah, yeah,
Not now.
yeah. And it's like, are we, yes, we're making strides in the right direction. The whole the actors on a strike, all the things that we're doing, the standing up for, just having a space where we can be creative, and feel seen and heard. Do you feel like Hollywood, and just curious, is just, as a, filmmaker, do you think that all the things that we're doing, the steps we're making, that it's it's changing for the better? And how so for you do you see that change, in your career? Um, and do you think that is it just going out, doing the walk, the marching, or what do you think else we should do to continue that change of like
Yeah.
things changing in Hollywood?
So I think things are changing, but really slowly and a lot slower than they make it seem like it. So I
Okay.
think Hollywood, I mean, it's Hollywood, right? It's all about how things seem. And so they do really try to make it seem like, oh my God, racism's over. Like women and people of color are just doing stuff now. And it's still very much a boys' club. It's still very much a white boys' club.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people who don't want it to be that way. But the people who hold all the power, the people with all the money, are fine with it as it is. So, but I think things move in the way that our dollars move. So you vote with your money. So I always say, like, when a film like Woman King comes out, go see that in theaters.
Yeah.
Because that ticket is your vote and is you telling the studios, this makes money. When Black women direct stuff, it makes money. We should keep doing that. Because unless it makes money, they do not care. They don't care at all. And the thing is, too, you have to prove it a lot of times. They won't just see one good example and be like, oh my God, great, women of color, come on in. They're like, no, we're not, we got to prove it a bunch of times. So when you see that stuff happening, when you see like a really funky, weird thing by a person of color, you gotta support that because we are not allowed to make weird stuff. So for example, Boots Riley has a new show on Amazon called I'm a Virgo. Please go watch that. It is so weird and it's so wonderful. And I so desperately want to see more stuff like that from people of color, where the storyline isn't, hi, look, I'm a Black person, but
Yes.
it's just this weird, crazy stuff going on and we happen to be Black.
I love that.
Wonderful. It's beautiful. We got to vote with our dollars. We have to vote with our views. You have to watch it. Do not pirate it, please, because then it doesn't count as a vote because they won't see it. So, and I've been in rooms where you have the executives like, dang, we really need more women in film. I'm like, you hire us. What are you talking about? Like, as if it's like this elusive thing. I'm like, you hire us, just hire us.
That's
But
it.
they really like to pretend like, oh, like just it's buzzwords, so women of color is so needed. I'm like, yeah.
Okay.
So hire us. Like, really, that's your call.
Yeah.
So yeah, vote with your dollars, vote with your dollars, vote with your views. It makes a big difference because that's what they're looking at.
Definitely. I 100% agree with that. And, and there, I also, on the other hand of that too, I think that it's also very important that if we want to see the change, we have to also make that content. And somehow, like, I always think, like, we have a lot of Black entertainers in the industry that are doing the things, but we're still asking for Hollywood's permission. And I always say, well, instead of asking, we could just go out and do it, gather some, the idea, make the project. There's so many outlets now you can put your content out. I mean, if you think about how, Blair Witch did it, terrible movie, but maybe it's subjective. It's artsy. Let's put it that way. Um, but they got it out. People went to see it, made a lot of money. So I think
Happy
there are,
history.
so I feel like in the same token, yes, I think it's very important to ask and to keep demanding. But I feel like it's kind of like what Taraji P Henson, like, and I felt really bad for her talking about this whole situation, that was going on with the pay gap. And I mean, there's
Not deserved.
so many women, and I'm just thinking, you have a name, just go out and create your own, maybe not your own studio, but I think there's a lot of that happening. People are going out and doing it themselves without Hollywood.
Yeah. It's
I mean,
definitely the direction that I would like to encourage more people to go into. But again, it doesn't matter unless there's the eyeballs. So as a
that's true.
viewer, you have to then say, I'm not only going to watch what's on Disney Plus, but also what's going on in just in other spaces.
Yeah.
So currently I work for Soleil Space, which is this amazing streaming platform that's doing just that. That's really taking specifically filmmakers of color from the global South and global South diasporas and saying, okay, we don't need Hollywood. Like Hollywood had their chance and they keep passing y'all up. Let us do it. Let us do it. Let us be your support. So shameless plug there. Sign up for Soleil Space. It's
Yeah.
dope.
Talk more about that. Please elaborate more about that for people that, that don't know.
Yeah, so I stumbled into working for Soleil Space and I feel so lucky because I think as a lot of us know, as filmmakers, you don't become a bajillionaire immediately. You got to keep a day job. And so I'm like, well, if I got to do a day job, at least let me do something that's film related so it's fun. And I found Soleil Space and I've been so happy there because it's a really cool place to work. So I'm like working for HR right now, like plugging us, but like
I
it's
love
a
it.
great place to work.
I
Black
love it.
female CEO. So, it's just different. But Soleil Space is amazing. So we're the world's first community streaming platform, which is really dope. And so community streaming is like this really cool blend of streaming where you watch the film, but then there's also like a social media kind of aspect to it where you send like DMs to people.
Nice.
You recommend films to each other. Like you have a full profile on the platform. So y'all could add me as a friend on the platform if you sign up. So it's a whole ecosystem and it's really great. And we have a lot of plans to expand it in the next year and beyond. So, and we have a lot of amazing filmmakers on there. So part of my job at Soleil Space is interacting with these filmmakers, getting them to sign on, just kind of walking them through the process. So I
Yeah.
get to meet them, I get to hear their stories, and a lot of them, it's a similar story of like, I'm doing this great stuff, I'm working hard, I'm getting these good laurels at these film festivals, but here I am with no distribution. Here I am with no one to support my work going forward. So
Mhm.
there is that disconnect there where Hollywood is still just passing over these amazing filmmakers of color. So
Yeah.
I'm like, good, you come and hang out with us instead.
I like that. I like that. And I think that's it's a great space for people to like and I think it's all about, that circle. I think that absolutely is a part of your success as a filmmaker. I mean, I think when I got a mentor, um, I was so blessed to have a mentor that really just genuinely just wanted to see me succeed. And I think after that, it was like, so just to know what to watch out for, because, this industry is it's really interesting. You get to meet some interesting people.
It can be very predatory. It can be very predatory. Not
Yeah.
everyone has your best interest at heart, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So no, I'm with you. Mentorship is super important. Having that person that's already been through it, that already knows what to avoid, what to go for, that can just be there to walk you through it. And I think again, because there's so few women of color in genre, there is quite a bit of that of like, okay, even if I'm not your mentor in an official capacity, hey, now say, what do you have going on? Like, who are
Yeah.
you talking to? Like, let me see if I've heard of them before, like,
Yeah. Right.
which is really, really nice.
Yeah. Have you had any experiences that, that like obstacles, like, I mean, as a woman and a filmmaker in this industry that were kind of, you didn't really see yourself like, oh, what was that? But like, how did you get yourself to like refocus and like, get back on track so that doesn't like affect you?
I think just the general negativity about how viable what I make is, like money wise.
Yeah.
So I have gotten that's for white people. People like you don't make that. And I also think
Wow.
it's too weird. And I'm like, mm, on one hand, I get it. I get where they're coming from in the sense that like they're afraid that really weird content won't make the money that it needs to. But at the same time, we've got white filmmakers like Yorgos Lanthimos making really, really weird stuff that everyone adores, that I adore. I love his stuff. He's killing it. But I'm like, well, there is an audience for weird. It's not the same audience that goes to see, the Avengers, and
Right.
that's fine. But like the audience is there, and I think that niche audience only becomes a problem when it's a filmmaker of color. When it's a white filmmaker, they go, of course, it's a niche audience. Don't worry about it. The audience is there. But then when it's a filmmaker of color, like, why aren't you reaching out to a ginormous audience? Why aren't you doing that? I'm like,
Yeah,
that's not my thing. I'm in a niche, and that's okay
that's okay.
for other people, apparently.
Yeah.
So that negativity is kind of what I've dealt with. And I don't know, it's what I expected to deal with. So it doesn't hit that hard, I
Okay.
kind of go into it like, well, I was expecting you to say that. So it
Yeah.
is what it is. Not that it's a good thing, but like,
Yeah.
but I just keep on. I'm like, listen, I know it's weird. I already know what I look like, and you only need that one yes. And
Yeah.
then once you have one yes, you're rolling. So
Absolutely. Yeah, I've never actually had that per se, but I've had the thing that I run into a lot is the the I work with a lot of men, so working behind the scenes, it's just like, why are these compliments? Why are you calling me sweetie? I'm not your babe.
mhm.
It's like we're not on that friendship level like that. This is
No,
professional,
exactly.
and we're gonna keep it that way. I feel like that is something that, I try my hardest to always correct when I see it, even if it's if I'm like shooting something and they could like, there was an example of this is they were doing harassing this female actress, like just
Mhm.
saying cat calling, and I was like, guys,
Yeah.
this is not cool. Like,
But like stuff like that, it slowly like chips away at you to remind you that you don't belong in that space. So
mm-hmm.
like my last short film, and this is actually another piece of negativity I got, I wanted it to be all women on my crew, all
Nice.
women of color on my crew. I didn't want like for the cast, we had one woman and two dudes, and like that was written in. So like those dudes were gonna come, but like I was like, I want all women.
Yeah.
And someone that was helping me like put things together at the time, she was like, oh, that's impossible. You can't do that. Because
Really?
I was shooting in South Africa, so that's
Oh,
also part of the context. She's like, you can't do that here. That's not possible. There aren't any women. And I was like, I'm
really?
gonna try. Like, okay.
That's
So
wild.
I gave it a shot. I really tried to get all women of color for my crew. We ended up with about 90% women of color for the crew.
Okay.
And because yeah, we only had two guys in the crew, and they were so cool. They were amazing too.
That's
But
good.
like just but it didn't even have to be 100%. That majority women of color set the tone completely differently.
Yeah.
All of them said to me like, I've never been on a set like this. This is amazing. Everyone
Yeah.
felt so free to contribute creatively, to just to do their own thing in a way that they never had before. Because when you
Yeah.
are on those all dude sets and they make those comments to remind you that you're the only woman here and to remind you of your place,
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to contribute creative. You don't want to contribute at all. You just want to hurry up and get the hell home. And they do it on purpose, and they know that does that to you. Even if they don't consciously know it, they know that when they make those comments, it makes you behave in the way they want you to behave. So to
Mm-hmm.
have this all mostly female set was
Great.
total game changer. Everyone could be loud. Everyone could say what they wanted to say. Everyone could contribute. And it was just different. It was so fun. And it's something that I want to do for all my sets
I
forever.
love that. That's beautiful. I think that's great. I mean, hey, congrats on that and doing that and, really standing on your, 10 toast. You're like, I'm standing on business. Okay. Like, this is what I'm
I
going
was like, I'm at least try. Like if I
to.
fail, okay. But like to say just don't even try it, I'm like,
Yeah.
no.
I love that. Okay, so I have a fun question I love to ask everybody, and there's no wrong answer, but the three levels of influence: money, power, and respect. And if you could choose one of those things, which one would you choose and why?
Money, easy.
Ooh, I like
Money.
it. I like it. You're the first person that actually said it without hesitation. Thank you.
Because power and respect are like what I think people think is the right answers, but like if the whole world respects you, what do you like? What's your next step from there? Money, money, easy money. If I had bajillions of dollars, well, there's no ethical way to have that much money, but let's say ethically I had a billion. There's so much I would want to do with that. There's so much I would just want to be funding random projects here and there,
Yeah.
fully funding, be like, go for it, make your crazy weird stuff. I would be buying out entire apartment buildings and
There
making
we
non-market
go.
housing. That's one of my dreams of mine,
Awesome.
is providing non-market housing, just like charging rent exactly what it costs to maintain it. So it's
Yeah.
like, here's your 2-bedroom apartment for like $100, like just
Nice.
exactly what it costs and nothing more. That
Yeah.
I'd be doing. I'd just be doing stuff like,
Yeah.
money. What am I gonna do with respect? That's just feeding my ego. Like, I don't, you could all hate me and I'm saving the world with my money. Like, and what was the other option? Money. Money's the
Power,
only
money, and respect. Yeah, you did. I think
power.
I thank you. No, seriously, I think, I think it sounds very noble to say
Yeah,
this,
right.
but it's like, is it really your answer? Like, would you really choose that? Like, if you could,
Yeah.
because money, you can do, in this society, you can do a lot of things with it. And,
Yeah.
I don't need the respect from anybody. I just can move if I could care less,
Exactly. Yeah. If I can use all this money to do all this great stuff and they don't even know it's me, like whatever, it's fine. Like the good
Yeah.
is being done. So money, easy, easy question.
I love that. I love that. All right, a fun one too. Another fun one. If
Okay.
you could be represented
Mhm.
by, it could be a mentor
Okay.
in this game of the entertainment business, living or dead, who would it be and why?
Oh,
That's hard. I know. It's a hard one. It's
I am obsessed with Alejandro Jodorowsky.
hard.
He's
Oh.
an amazing director and super weird. And
That's
I just adore him. And he just turned 95.
awesome.
So I don't know if this is like a bad thing to say, but like I'm running out of time to meet him. So
Gonna happen.
that would be my answer. I feel like he's just got so much knowledge, and like the way his brain works just feels so different. Like just like truly like out there stuff. Like his first ever feature film was so offensive that like people, he had to like be snuck out of the film festival because people were trying to kill him apparently. Like I don't know if that's like hyperbole, but like they were mad. They were big mad. So I love that. And I love what he's got going on. And I think I'm assuming he's a really cool dude. So that would be my answer. I would want to ask him 1,000,001 questions.
I bet. I mean, yeah, that's awesome. Great, great, great answer. I think for me, it would be either Stanley Kubrick or
Nice.
maybe like an Alfred Hitchcock, because I think they just kind of somehow, those two guys are why I got into the film industry in the
Wow.
first place. But yeah, I just find that they were very like just risk takers, people that just didn't give a crap and just created whatever they wanted to create when they wanted and
Yeah.
however they want, there's a lot of people that listen to the show and they like the part of like, love hearing the story and just the journey. But they always really want like that advice. What advice would you give to someone that, doesn't know how to start or begin, but want to get in this industry? What advice would you give them?
Um, I would say you need an in. Everyone needs an in. The days of just making an amazing short and then someone approaches you at a festival with $1,000,000 are kind of over. So you need some kind of in. If you're not, I mean, if you're a Nepo baby, you're not watching this, but like you don't need the advice. But if you're not a Nepo baby, then you need someone who's going to take your hand and pull you in with them. So I would kind of plan things based on that. So whether it be like if you want to be a DP, like a pretty common one is starting and working as crew and then working your way up. Depending on the country, in certain countries that is not the way to do it at all. So it depends on where you are. But whether it's through crew or working the corporate side or through film festival, like working at film festivals, not just attending them, but working at film festivals, I would say take up, and again, like especially if you're trying to be a director, like you're not going to be home free from your first film. You're still got to be working anyway. So find a job that you can do that's in the film industry, that's giving you those connections, that's helping you learn about the industry, because there's so much to learn. This industry is huge. There's just so much that like as I keep learning more, I'm like, dang, that's a job. So there's a lot. There's plenty of jobs. So definitely just take up any film industry job to be what like pays your bills, gets you connections, and helps you learn about the industry while you're making your shorts, while you're pursuing the creative stuff.
I love that. That's wonderful advice. What's your like process? Like, how do you know you want to make something?
Um, I usually daydream about it for like 2 years and then I write it down.
Wow. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, that was a really specific answer, I know.
I like that. I like that. I like
This is my
that.
process every time.
Huh. That's cool. So,
I
I mean,
usually make a playlist and just like see it in my head
really?
like a really cool movie while I'm walking around. And then after I've done that for like a good like year or two, I'll be like, all right, well, once I've like exhausted it in my mind, it's like, well, if I don't put it down on paper, it's gonna die. So
Yeah.
then I put it on paper. But first I've already seen the movie a couple hundred times before it reaches
Nice.
paper.
That's beautiful. I like that. Huh. Is there a movie that this year that came out that was like, I don't know, so moving that it kind of changed you in a way?
Um, it is only February, so I don't know. I don't know about moving. I mean, I just went to the world premiere for Cuckoo, and
Okay.
that movie was so cool. Like,
Nice.
it was a
Nice.
really it's starring Hunter Schafer. It's like a really just fun, weird horror film, and it's just weird. And that one, I really liked it. So
Nice.
that
Nice.
didn't really answer your question. It didn't like move me to tears or anything, but like I was scared and I was laughing and I maybe teared up a little bit at one point, but
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I gotta check
it's
that
like
out.
when it comes out in theaters, I highly recommend it. It was a fun one.
Nice. I was gonna say, did you see the Ava's DuVernay's new movie, Origin?
I haven't yet. Is it out already?
Oh, it's absolutely.
Okay.
I got
So
to see it. Gotta
disclaimer
find
for
it.
everyone. I live in Spain, so it's not out in Spain yet,
Ah,
which is why. And I'm only in the US. Like I just got to the US now for like for a quick stint. So that's my excuse. But all right, now I'm
gotcha.
here. I should definitely see it.
Please,
All
please.
right.
I think it's and it's talking about race and how it's all connected, whether it's way in Mumbai, that they're what they're going through, or going back to the Holocaust, and she really like it's just incredible how she told it, and I think this is probably one of her best pieces I've seen ever.
Mm.
And they're talking about Oscar buzz already.
Oh wow.
The cast is insane, insane. But yeah, it was really interesting. Yeah, I because at first she talked about she wanted to be she wanted it to be a documentary, but she was like, no, Netflix wanted it to be a documentary, and she said no, I wanted it to be a movie, and she did it, and I was really impressed. I was like, wow,
Wow.
this is I loved it. I loved it. I think this movie shows and proves that women of color can do anything, like
Yeah.
absolutely anything. And I think this is going to definitely open up a lot of doors
Oh, I'm glad.
for a lot of women of color. So yeah, yeah. I know it's super early to like to say the best movie, but I might be jumping the
Now
gun.
I know why you asked. You already had your answer.
Yeah. I might be jumping the gun. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. There's a lot. We got a while for this year to. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we
But
got lots to watch.
we gotta. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It was a pleasure talking to you. Is there any
This is
upcoming
my fun.
projects that you would
Yeah,
like
so
to
I'm
shout out?
currently in development for my first feature film project called Dance of the Demon. So you can check
Ooh,
that out on my website, nacedesanders.com. We'll be posting updates there. But I'm also always on Instagram, so I'll post updates there as well. And
okay.
then my final short film called Hello Sickness is in post-production. We should be finished with it in the next month and submitting it to festivals right after. So
Awesome.
I'm expecting the premiere to happen summer or fall of this year.
Oh,
So also you can check it out on my website and Instagram. And my at is just Nace DeSanders. So easy peasy.
okay. Oh,
So
you're on
yeah,
Instagram. Okay, cool. We'll have to follow you. And yeah, absolutely. And congratulations.
thank you.
That's exciting. That's super exciting. Well, come back anytime, whatever you got going on, come back
Thank you so
anytime.
much.
All right. And thank you guys for listening. And always remember to live, love, laugh. We'll see you guys next time.